So it says that we are live. Hello all, welcome to another Ask Your Mentor Anything Friday Live. And today we have, I think if you've been following me so far, you know Moira Monney. I think Moira is the third time you're here and I'm so happy to have you. Welcome once again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone.
So we will wait for people to join us. In the meantime, let us know in the comments where are you watching us from, which country, or which means if you are like watching us from YouTube or Facebook, or you are in the Mentoring for Translators group. Use the comments below to ask anything about our today's topic or for Moira. Whatever you would like related to the business side of translation. Our today's topic, which is a value-based approach to pricing. A topic that Moira has suggested that I was pretty happy to have that because I get so many questions about pricing, and especially nowadays with the pandemic, I think it's a hot issue, a hot topic.
Yes.
So before we start with that, you would like to introduce for those that they might watch us for the first time a bit yourself?
Yeah, sure. Actually, this is the one part I didn't prepare.
I can do that, but you can add some details that I'm not aware. So please
that's
start.
Fine. So I'm an English to German translator, and I also work with a group of freelancers for German into English translations. I'm also a copywriter for nutrition brands. This is fairly new for me, but I enjoy it really a lot. And and I'm also the creator of the Financial Success Summit for Translators.
And I think, at least in my opinion, most of the translators might know you from that summit because it's a very successful initiative and very well spread. And I see that people are joining us from Budapest, Irene from Porto, Abdel Fattah from Morocco. So hello all. In order to be able, Moira, to see your name in the comments, you have to click the link above us. So please click the StreamYard link in order for your name and comment to be shown on the screen. We need your permission. So click on the link in order to be able just to see your name. It's nothing more personal. So a few words about the Financial Success Summit. It started as an initiative as Marketing Success Summit for Translators. I think it was last year. It was 2019. Is that correct,
Yes.
Moira?
Yes.
And I'm so happy because I was there the first, and I remember it like it was yesterday. It's like a series of interviews, so many translators from all over the world are interviewed by Moira on specific topics. So the Marketing Success Summit for Translators, which of the interviews are included in the summit that you're going to watch next week. I was really happy to talk about cold calling, how to turn it into warm calling, and you can find it in the Financial Success Summit. You can join us for free. It's a free event, totally free. You can register today and you can join us for free from Monday to next Saturday, 6 days, free event. I will share the link later in the comments. In the meantime, let us know if you have any questions. I already got one, but I would like to start with Moira, and then we will get with all of your questions, unless, Moira, you would like to start, else how?
No, I'm happy with that. Also, love your enthusiasm about the whole thing. I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm always like that because I really love such initiatives that people can join for free as well, whereas there is the pro package that they can always upgrade, but it's very important nowadays that new starting out translators that may not be able to afford, even if the cost is very low, you can check it out. So I really love to help others, you know that. So this is why I'm really excited, and I really love the interaction because they are interviews, and I think that you have added this time also some how you call it, panel discussion.
Yes, this is the first time that we have a panel discussion with 3 people as well, and I'm really looking forward to that one. So we had live sessions before last time, and we'll have some more this time also, but it's the first time that we have a panel discussion.
There is panel discussion, there are live sessions, and there will be my live session as a Q&A co-hosting with Moira as well this year, because we did it the previous time, not this year. The previous time the Financial Summit ran, we had that as well, and it went really successful. So can't wait to see you next Friday, 2 p.m. with our Q&A. So let's start. I see a question here. Some linguists claim that they charge $30 per minute for subtitling. Is that even real? Okay, I don't know if you would like to start with the structures of pricing that you had already in mind, Moira, and answer those questions through presentation.
Yes. So I think, well, I can answer that one immediately because
Okay.
I don't know anything about the pricing for subtitling. So I'm sorry about that. $30 per minute. I have no idea whether that's realistic or not.
Yeah, maybe not, because can you share more details about the project? Because I find it really high, to be honest. Maybe there's a mistake in your questions. Please rephrase it. But let's start with the ways. How many ways are? Because we're going to talk about value-based approach to pricing, but we have to let people and those that they are starting out. How many ways are there for pricing our translation services?
So basically, there are three main pricing strategies. And the value-based approach is one of them, but there's also cost-based pricing, and then there's also competition-based pricing. So shall I explain each of those?
I think it's a bit clear, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. The cost-based is based on the cost, that what does this project cost to you, or what cost you have, and then you base your pricing on that. The value-based is the value that you provide to the client, and based on that value, you price your services. And the last one was which one was the cost, the value?
Competition-based.
The competition, I guess, is about competition. What are the competition rates? Which totally find it wrong, but we should always take into consideration what are the competition costs, and prices. But still, I don't really like it, but it's up to you to let us know about those more.
Actually, I would totally agree with you. So, of course, it's a good idea to, I guess, know what is going on in the market. So, have a look at your competition. Yes, that's fine. But I wouldn't base your pricing strategy on that, or I wouldn't base my pricing strategy on that, because you might also seriously undercharge that way. And so, yeah, and like you said, Virginia, the cost-based approach is basically making sure that your prices cover your costs. And if you want to find out more, there's a whole session on that actually in the Financial Success Summit, and I think it airs on Friday.
Which one is that?
It's one of mine. It's the how much to charge.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, the value-based approach. That's where you actually you take the client's perception more into consideration. So you determine the price together with the client. It's basically the value that the client attaches to your project or your service.
Okay. And I think the most common question is, how can you estimate this value?
Sorry, say that again, because I was just looking at the comment. Yeah,
we will take care of the comments later, so don't worry. If you miss anything, I will catch up with those later. So how can we estimate, how can we be sure about the value that we provide to our clients?
That's a really good question.
Because I can mention many stories in my career that the value was very, very high, and I was able to understand that. But if the client doesn't share with you much information about the project, then sometimes you're missing that information.
Yes, that's where I think it's important that you actually ask, because I think it's really important that we don't shy away from having these types of conversations. I do think that sometimes it's easier to do this with direct clients. I don't know what your experience is with that, but I think actually, people from companies are actually used to being asked, what is the budget for this project? And I think we sometimes miss that. And I had this case last week, actually, because I was going to price for a project. It wasn't actually that long, and I was going to ask for 200 euros, but I remembered to ask for the budget, and they said, oh, we thought 400. I was like, yeah, okay. So I still
wow.
Yeah.
And did you price the project 400, or you gave a lower, like?
No, I gave it slightly lower, but
so,
still okay. So asking for the budget, and I mean, you can tell the client, because sometimes you'll have a client that will say, oh, if I give you the budget, then you might just use the whole budget. And you can just say no, but it gives us a ballpark that we can work towards. And I think that's a fair way to, just make sure that you come across as fair. You don't, if the budget is 1,000 and you were thinking 300, you don't have to charge 1,000. You know what I mean? It's not, that is not what the purpose is, but it gives you a good idea of how much the client values your service.
Thank you so much for sharing that story, because we as translators, we have the opposite idea that most probably we have a budget in our mind, but the client's budget is always lower, which is not the case. So Moira is a real example of the story that she just now mentioned. I can share with you many such stories myself. So yes, I've encountered situations where the budget was lower, but that's, in my opinion, shouldn't be. You should charge whatever you think, and you shouldn't take into consideration if the budget is lower. And I don't know if you agree with me on that. So you shouldn't lower your rates in the opposite situation.
No, you don't. Well, you don't have to. I mean, the thing is, it's just so that you have an idea of what the client is able and willing to spend. And so if the client says our budget is 200, but you would charge 500 for a project like that, you can then decide whether it's worth negotiating or whether you just have to say, okay, sorry, this is not feasible for me. And that's totally fine. I mean, that's business. You don't need to secure every single project. I just think it gives you a good idea.
Just remind me of a recent situation and discussion I had with my mentees. I'm running a 12-week program right now. It's about LinkedIn prospecting, but we talk about all the business as well. So pricing is there as well. So we had a situation of a mentee of mine. She quoted a specific project. She's based in North Carolina in the US. So she had a specific rate. She got a feedback from her client that this is too high, for example, and I can find it cheaper, which is okay. Very common answer we might get into our career if we're several years in our business, especially when we start out. So what I gave, and thank you so much for mentioning it, is I gave an advice. So first of all, you can always take into consideration what are the competition rates. No, not as for you to lower your rates, but for you to be confident about what you are charging and to be aware of the market overall. And the second approach we talked about is if you really want to work with that client, you don't want to lose for several reasons, because you really like the way they work, you really like the projects they assign you, or their business, the sector they work in, and so many reasons why not you would like to lose them. Ask them for the budget beforehand. So you can take into consideration that before quoting, and you can know if you can negotiate more or less the price that you had in your mind to call that project. So thank you so much for sharing that story and that approach, because some translators, I don't know for what reason, they're afraid, they're missing negotiation skills, or maybe they weren't aware that they're able to do so differently. Follow Moira's advice, and you can also watch Moira's session next Friday about pricing to find out maybe more ways about how to negotiate. But definitely asking for the budget can save you a lot of time and maybe many clients that you would lose otherwise. Thank you so much for saying that. We can use it in many situations. It can save us from many other different problems that we might encounter with our clients and quoting in general.
Yes, of course. Negotiation is always a good skill.
Okay. So one way to find out the value of the project so as to price our service and our projects accordingly is to ask. And one question is about their budget. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, sure. So basically, what determines your value, or what determines your price in a value-based approach, is that the price the client pays you reflects your perceived value to them. And so it's really about how the client perceives what you can do for them, what you can offer them. And note that I'm saying perceived value, not the actual value. That's also different. And you can do several things to actually increase the perceived value. So, Virginia, do you want to just go through those different ways, or?
Perceived value?
Yes.
I'm just noting down because I want to ask questions.
Sure.
So can you please continue?
Yeah, sure.
So what you would like to mention below?
Okay, so the first thing, in order to increase the perceived value, the first thing that you can do, of course, is to increase actual value. I think that's fairly obvious, but it still needs to be said. And increasing actual value would be done with your existing clients. And so the first question that you would need to ask yourself is, what is the value that you actually offer to your clients? And I get a lot of applications at the moment where translators say, I deliver accurate translations and I always deliver on time. And I'm thinking, those are the basics. You need to show your client why they should actually work with you amongst the gazillion other people who have the same language pair. And so I think, you need to be much clearer about what the actual value is that you offer. And then you can shift the conversation from how much does this job cost to what is it worth to the business? How much impact will it have? What problems will it solve? That kind of thing. And I think it becomes much easier then that way if you're clear about your value. And then one way to increase your actual value is to, for example, ask questions, point out ambiguities. Maybe I could give another example there, ambiguities or errors in the source text. So I was recently proofreading a contract, and this was for an agency client. And so this was already at the proofreading stage, which means that, I thought the translator should have pointed this out. So it was a contract, and at the end of the contract, it said something like, you will find the fixed and variable parts of the income in section 4.3 or something along those lines. But the thing is, there was no section 4.3 in that contract, and there was no mention about the variable part of the income. And so I'm thinking the translator should have already pointed this out. There is no reason why this would be in the text at the proofreading stage. And so I think because I pointed this out to the client, I know that they appreciate my service and they will come back, or they have come back.
I would like to add something that I find it really, really, really important when we start out, but when we want to scale up, and if we want to be called as entrepreneurs or serious business owners, to know the value that we provide to our clients is an exercise that we do in all of my mentoring programs, and it's an exercise that even translators with 20 plus years of experience, they think that the problem that they solve, or the problem, the relief that they provide, is the same with the value. And we do an exercise where we find the problem of our client, what is the pain relief to that problem that we provide through our services, but also the overall picture of what we offer to our clients as the value. And I can tell you that 9 out of 10 of the situations I have encountered with my mentees, they think that the solution that they provide to the clients is the value. And I really want to repeat myself and give you an example. Let me know if you agree. So I had in my previous 12-week program, 3 months, a very successful translator. She's based in Canada. She translates for NGOs in Latin America. And when I asked her, what is the value that you provide to your clients? And she told me, accurate, as you just mentioned, translations, native by a native speaker, very high quality translate. I told you, this is your service, this is the pain relief, this is the solution. It's not the value. Yeah. Why they hired you? They do not hire us because they want translations. They hire us because they want to achieve another goal in their business, and translation is a step that they want to overcome in order to get that goal. And then with my help and the group help, she realized that they get the money from the investors, because she was translating financial reports for those NGOs. And I told her, what was their goal? To get the money from the investors. So this is the value you provide them. And if you realize the value, how important it is to them, you will realize the value, your value, and what you provide to them. And then she was even surprised herself when she realize that, because we know it, but then we do not realize that this is a value. The value is not the high quality, as you mentioned, or accurate or on time, which is totally fine to offer that, yes, and we shouldn't neglect it, but still this is the service we provide, this is a solution to their problem. It's not the overall value. The overall value is the goal that they achieve through our services. Yes. And it's very, very important to realize that, because then you realize your worth and your value. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to mention this once again, because it's really, really, really important to realize that. And I have many, many stories as well. And then you can increase, and then you can charge what you really worth, and your services and what you provide is really worth. So thank you so much for mentioning it. And if you want to find out more about added value, because I think this example that you mentioned is about added value, we had last Friday a live with Ellen Singer, which the whole live is 90 minutes live. Okay, we talked about Ellen's story, and this is so interesting. But you can find many, many ways that Ellen mentioned during the live about how to provide added value, which is the thing that Moira is trying to inform us and teach to us right now. So thank you so much, Moira. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
Actually, now that you mentioned the story about your mentee, I was just thinking, so the coach that I work with actually said, the businesses that you approach, they all want to know whether you can impact their business in 3 ways. Do you have an impact on their profitability or their revenue? Do you have an impact on their reputation? Or do you have an impact on their productivity? And that's basically the 3 things they are interested in. And if you can show...
The 3 things are productivity, you mentioned, profitability.
Yes, and reputation.
Oh, that's really important. Thank you.
And so if you can show that your service impacts one of those 3, or not having your service impacts one of those 3, you're pretty good to go. I think that's a that's a very good value proposition that you can make in that case.
Yeah, I can tell you that the translation services in general can have impact in all of these 3, because of course, all of them at the same time, whatever is your specialization, whoever is your client, you always you always serve their productivity, profitability, and reputation by providing, as we said, high quality translation and native speaker proofread text, and their productivity by being on time and deliver on time the translation. Of course, profitability, because overall, even if it's not financial reports that they get money from their investors, on the long term, they will see some profitability through your translation. So,
or at least revenue. Yeah.
Revenue,
So, so that's what that made me think of. But I mean, in general, so, and I'm sure probably Ellen talked about this last week, increasing your perceived value also means positioning yourself as an expert. And I don't mean an expert in translation. I mean an expert in your client's field. So because the client is not necessarily interested in reading about translation, but what they want to know is how the translation affects their field, their specialization. So I think there are quite a few things that you can do, but like overall, I think having a website and also having a professional email address adds credibility, and I think therefore that also adds to your perceived value.
But also, positioning yourself as an expert is also asking the right questions, as you mentioned already previously, like being able to ask the right questions about the project or your clients, and as an overall, then you position yourself as an expert. So maybe Ellen is not that into the term expert. She doesn't really like that, but she mentioned that you have to ask questions. So you position yourself as an expert when you know what questions to ask. Then at the same time, you position yourself as an expert. So you don't don't have to be, because I get so many questions of mentees. They tell me I'm not that wow with marketing. I'm not the marketing expert. I'm not an expert. So you don't have to. Exactly, Moira. Thank you for supporting me to that. You don't have to be wow. You don't have to be everywhere marketing yourself as an expert, but by doing some simple steps like asking the right questions, providing the value, perceived value, as Moira just explained to us, is you position yourself as an expert.
Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes we think that like we have to have a website or a wow marketing strategy and so on, but that's not the whole point. That's things that yes, you should have them, but then there are so many other things that can help you position yourself as an expert. So sorry for the interruption, please.
No, well, thank you for supporting the point. So I agree. You don't have to be perfect in marketing or something, and also you don't need to be on every single platform. Like I always keep saying, I don't really like social media. So I'm on there, but that's not the place where I find clients, like, or at least not by posting content. Because no, I don't.
Yeah, we agree to that. we have the same strategy. We agree to that.
I'm very happy about that. Yeah. I do have an Instagram account now, but it's really there, for example, because I follow clients on there to see what they do on Instagram, and so that I can say, okay, I know what Instagram is, I know how it works, I know what it does and all of that. But since it's not the place where I approach clients, I have made the decision not to post any content. And when I explain it to clients that way, even if I write Instagram content for them, they are happy with me not having posted anything.
I have an objection there. Okay, I know that your clients are not there, but if you're promoting such summits and if you're targeting translators are there. And for me, Instagram is the second or third, if I can say, funnel attraction that I get from there. So I think it's getting higher and higher to that, even higher than Facebook nowadays, Instagram, and it has a great outreach rather than Facebook or Twitter, at least the way that I do it. And I find it very easily, and then you can reshare the same content on Twitter and Facebook, so you can at the same time with one post reach 3 different social media. And I think that for you, if you would like to target translators, you should be there. I'm tag you everywhere, but I know that you have your account there. I know.
Yeah, you can at least you can tag me now.
Yeah, at least people can find you. People can find you and see who is the person behind this successful already summit, the Financial Success Summit for Translators.
Yes. Maybe I will change my mind, in 6 months.
And maybe we can have a live there as well.
Oh God.
Let me know. Yes,
I like the live. That's fine.
Very easy. Okay, let's continue because people are waiting. Yes. So do you think there are any other ways that you would like to share with us about increasing the perceived value?
Yes. So maybe just to give you a few ideas of, let's go back to this positioning yourself as an expert. So of course, even though Virginia and I just said that that's not the way we do it, it's still a worthwhile strategy to post content on social media channels. So if that's something you enjoy doing, just make sure that it's content you write not for other translators, unless translators are your target clients. And write something that your clients would be interested in reading. And then I think it's also a good idea to go on client-facing podcasts, because there's a lot you could talk about. And then another strategy would be to go to online events hosted by your clients, because they will come to view you as a peer. And I think you will then be the natural choice once they actually need a translator. And then
either
of course,
online or offline. Yes, those events.
Yes,
maybe someday.
But I think online actually has made it easy to to go to more client events. At least during the summer, that's a lot of what I did actually. And then in terms of increasing perceived value, writing case studies and also having testimonials from your existing clients gives you social proof, and therefore also increases your perceived value. And then I guess one last point I wanted to make is the
So you mentioned content. You mentioned contents, attending industry events of your clients, and the last one.
Appearing on client-facing podcasts, and then also having case studies and testimonials for social proof.
Yeah, because we neglect that, and we usually appear to our industry events, which is okay, which is fine, because our translators might refer us to potential clients or might be our clients. But I've also been on the radio show on a marketing podcast, Greek, here, that most of the companies they listen to. So I've been to exhibition as an exhibitor for my company. And we have had the last live session with Moira. You can find it in the Mentoring for Translators group or on my YouTube channel, where we talked about how to market yourself online during the pandemic. So Moira, she also explained more about her strategy and how she's been doing so far, promoting yourself online. And you'll find many ideas of what you've already, Moira, just mentioned. This is why I came up with the idea. But before continuing, I'd really like to mention about the content, because, okay, we might not do it, but I find it really, really important, and something that even I don't do it, I really encourage my mentees to do it. And I can say, okay, I do not do it writing. I don't write, for example, consistently blog articles, or I don't write consistently, which consistency is the key here, post on LinkedIn or on Facebook or on social media. But content is also the video.
Yeah, true.
Content are also the podcasts that we participate, or the conferences. So this is also content. Content doesn't have to be written, okay? Content has to be content. So for me, it works better, and I'm more like familiar with video or camera, and I find it easier for me during my weekdays. But I totally understand if you find better to write articles or blogs, so totally do it. And what I would really like to add to that is the mistake that most of the translators do, and I've seen it through my mentees, this is why I would like to mention it, is that we write content again about our industry and our fellow translators, which is totally fine, but you have to know the purpose why you do it. If you just want to network about with other translators, that this is totally fine. But if you want to use it for SEO, search engine optimization purposes, and to be found by your clients and the industry that your clients work in, you most probably haven't reached that goal. You need to write things that your clients are really interested in, are looking for online. So this is what Moira already mentioned, but I just wanted to point out that, because it's a very, very common mistake in our industry. We see we really like to write about our fellow translators, about our selves, the translation business itself, but not things that our clients are really interested in reading, and they would look for us online so as to find our article or our post. So definitely have a goal in the beginning and try to unstructure that goal into steps. Which one is to write, but have a marketing or a content writing strategy according to your goals, which is to reach your target market and your clients through that. So thank you so much, Moira, for mentioning that as well.
No problem. So I guess I'll just make my last point, which is make your price non-comparable. I think that's also something that really increases your value, or it's part of a value-based approach.
Wow. How you do it? I've never heard that. Non-comparable pricing.
Okay. So basically, and I think this works better with direct clients because it's easier to do. But that's why I like charging per project, because you can then create sort of a service package for the client and really price based on the benefit that you provide to the client, rather than saying, okay, this will, I don't know, this takes X amount of words, or this takes X amount of hours. You really just talk about the value and the benefit, and then you give the price. And that makes it non-comparable, because I think what some people criticize about the way we usually price our service per word is that it becomes like a commodity, and you can then compare those prices.
I cannot hold myself. I am drinking from a cup.
That's brilliant.
Because you mentioned that, so it's
Where
not
did
a commodity.
Get the cup from? I love it. Very nice. Okay, good.
Translation is not a commodity, so I can totally support that as well.
I need one of those cups.
I will tell the.
Yeah, actually mugs, right?
Mug,
Cups.
yeah.
But yes. So Marianne says, yes, it's better to price things per project, not limit yourselves to text statistics. Yes, yeah. I agree. So, and I mean, even in terms of agency clients, you know, I guess you would find it difficult to price per project, but I do think the value-based approach still applies because they will perceive your service value differently depending on what price you charge. So
okay, I can give an example with agencies, but before how to charge per project, for example, how to showcase the benefits of the specific project. But before going to that, can you give us an example of a quoting? How do you describe the benefits to a direct clients without disclosing any confidential information? Just the general way, what you should include. Give us an example of a generic idea. How we could quote and showcase the benefits of our projects and what we provide through that project to our clients, to a direct client.
Okay, great. And thanks for putting me on the spot.
I'm sorry, if you don't have it, we can say it next Friday.
So I'm thinking maybe we can go with the example that you said earlier. So this woman who translates financial reports in order to secure investments for NGOs. So you would, so I have no idea how this process works, but of course she would have a good idea of how they need to secure the money. And I think what you need to make clear in your proposal is how you help the client gain that money.
How that should be included in the code with bullets. That should be, for example, in a PS message in our email. That should be described in our website. How can we showcase that benefit?
All of the above. So I would definitely include it if that's like your main area of specialization. I would definitely include that in the website because that is one of your main selling points, so to speak.
So we secure your investments with our high quality translations or something like that.
Yeah.
I come up with ideas right now. Okay. So yes. Catherine, if you are watching us, it's Canada now. I don't think so. It's too early for her. But if you watch the recording, reach me out.
Yeah. So I mean, of course, if you put it on your website, it would be still like fairly generic, but then if you have a specific project, you can tell the client, okay, I don't know how the process works, but like I will provide your financial report, and then you could I don't know what that involves. Let me think for a minute.
I definitely a quote. I mean, a phrase where we market ourselves as experts in our field by telling them, maybe not in a very direct way, but in an indirect way, that we can secure your investment by high quality and on-time translation made by a native, for example, could really point out that and could be included in the footnotes of your quote. But I can tell different examples in a more generic way how we can include that in a quote. And you can watch Ellen Singer's live last week, where she mentioned, like, you can quote in your quote, but with a 0 in the amount. Like, for example, if you did a research specific for them, if you use an already made terminology base that you have created for them in order to reassure the accurate translation of the terms, and a 0 to that. If you, for example, correct the source, as you mentioned, there was a mistake, and you mentioned about specific paragraphs that they didn't exist, you can mention that 0, but you can mention the service or what was included that was not in the initial code of the project that was, for example, created per word for you.
I was going to say that would come later, right? That would
okay. I thought it would be also mentioned that way. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, yes, of course, there are different ways of doing it. Actually, that's why I like these lives, because you always get to see how other people do it too. So in terms of the
that's the point. That's the point here. That's the point. Otherwise, I would do it on my own. That's the point, to share ideas, to brainstorm.
Exactly.
Thank you.
I like that though. Although I think I would have to disagree with the 0 on the research, for example, because I would include that. It depends on whether you want to give a cost breakdown or whether you give one whole price. So I usually give one whole price, and then I say, okay, this is included.
That includes
so
that. Okay, that's another way.
And,
thank you for mentioning. Yeah, that's another way. So instead of saying 0, 0 for that, and that, you can include it and then break down all in the code the additional small things that you have done in order to deliver a high quality, accurate, and on-time translation. So definitely that's another way, and I've seen other translators suggesting such a way as well.
So I can give you maybe an example of how I quoted a recent project, but that so that was copywriting and translation. And so I, for example, I also said that I would, so I had the research, then I had the structure of the text, then the actual copywriting. And then I also suggested that I can do the text design. So like optimizing the text for scannability, for example. You can include SEO optimization if you want to, but really charge for that, depending on how much work you need to do, or whether the client gives you the keywords, or whether you have to do all of that on your own as well. And then the process always includes editing and proofreading by another person, and so all of that would be broken down. The translation part, of course, and then editing, proofreading. And then you can include a round of corrections if you wanted to. So that's what I like to do, not for translation so much, but for the copywriting part of my business.
So you include the number of corrections, like how many rounds you can go back and forth with your client? How many do you include once?
Depends on the client, some 2, some 1. And if it's a first-time client, then I usually say, okay, we'll have 1 round of corrections. And then if they need another one, I do that as a favor, and they like that. And so that's
the added value.
Exactly.
That's the 0 that Ellen said.
That's the 0 why they come back after. But I don't mention that beforehand. But so those would be examples of what you could include. And then I think the demonstration of your value is actually less in the proposal than in the conversation that you have beforehand. So I definitely agree with Ellen on asking questions to show that you really understand what the client is looking for. I think that demonstrates a lot of value.
Only the right questions that they appear you as an expert. Other than that, is not really a good way if you do not know what to ask. You have to really know what to ask.
True. But I think that comes with time.
Yes, Sabine says, in my understanding of the work, research should be included and not an extra charge, never. I mean, Sabine, an extra research that you did, not the one that is included in our translation service, but if you had to do a different research for the purpose of the project, additionally to the one that is included in the translation, then you should mention it. So, I mean, as an extra on a different thing that you should have implemented in order to deliver the project. Let me know, Sabine, if that's clear for you.
Also, we are not, maybe just to clarify, we're not talking about including that as an extra or adding it as an extra charge. What we are saying is we are increasing the value that the client
awareness.
Yes, exactly, by saying that we have to do research, but because the client won't necessarily know. We would just, if we, okay, good, got you, good. So I think that really, that increases the perceived value. Sometimes they don't know. For us, it's normal, but for the client, it's not. And I think all those points where we think, oh, but this is normal, that goes with the job, mention it.
And this is why Ellen also told us it's not because we consider it as an extra, but because we have to raise awareness to our clients to really understand what it takes. It's not just per word translating that we do, it's the things that they are included in order to deliver a translation project, which would be to use a terminology base, which is to the investment for a CAT tool, the previous projects that they create a memory that you already have. All these are the things that your clients might not be able to understand, and they just think that this is per word, so I get like 3 or 10 quotes, and I, for example, take into consideration or choose the cheapest or whatever is the one among them. All of this is included in the non-comparable pricing, Moira?
Yeah. Okay. So yes, that's why I think project pricing is so great, because it makes it non-comparable, and you will be one of the very few translators who would have added this and this and this is included, and it might be included with all the others as well, but they didn't mention it, so the client doesn't know.
So Moira just says you can mention in the discussion beforehand all these things. There are other translators that they do it in the quoting, so they just quote all the steps that they would be included, or other translators they include it in the invoicing with 0, just in order to point out what was included in the initial cost, or in the invoice as a unstructured all the prices, the whole price, that all the services are added in order to the price that you have quoted initially. So those are the ways. So I think that we have answered the Moira to Hala Mohammed the question that would like to know about how we should value our work. Unless is there something that you would like to sum up?
No, I think, well, is Hala here? Maybe you can let us know whether that answered your question.
Hala, if you're watching us, because I saw you that you will be joining us, let us know in the comments. We will be able to see your comment from wherever, if you are on YouTube or in the Mentoring for Translators group or in my page, we will be able to see your comment. Let us know. But I could sum up a bit, like you mentioned also in the negotiation, that you have to make questions about your client's budget, and also the value, that how we should know, for example, the value of our work. Also mentioned the way that we do it with our my mentees, for example. It's different, the value that we provide to the solution we provide. So we have to, you can definitely do the marketing exercise, the client ideal avatar, which is included there, in order to find out what's the problem of your avatar of your client, what is the solution, what is the value that you provide, and then you can come up with your whole value there. Unless Hala was the question actually how to estimate the value of our work in terms of money, but then again we answered that with the negotiation steps that we Moira mentioned already, by asking the budget of your client beforehand, by taking into consideration competition, but also you can definitely how you can value your work, for example, Moira, any other ways?
I was just going to say, if that was the question, then I think so I would always take the cost-based approach as the sort of basis, because of course whatever you do, you have to cover your costs. And so again, I would really recommend the session at the summit. It's how you can calculate how much to charge.
And also, Hala, if you are in the Mentoring for Translators group, download the spreadsheet that is suggested by very big associations. It's an Excel file. It's in Spanish, French, and English, and you can calculate there your expenses, what you would like to be your monthly income, your salary, and then you can find out how much you should charge per month, per year, per hour there, and per word your clients. So if you actually want to know how to estimate your value and how you should value your projects and your prices, then definitely watch Moira's session next Friday in the Financial Success Summit, and all of those days, because all of those are devoted how to become successful financially as a translator. Then definitely download this Excel file, because it's really, really helpful. It's suggested by the biggest association all over the world, and you can find it in English, Spanish, and French, and you can then calculate your prices based on your expenses. But in general, about how to value our work, as a value-based approach to pricing we've been discussing. You can watch the recording, and I think Moira will cover that question in detail. We've been talking 49 minutes already about this.
But let us know if your question is covered.
Definitely. And you can find Moira later during the Financial Success Summit, or of course in person. Moira is a member in the Mentoring for Translators group. You can reach her out directly or start a discussion in the comments of this video.
Tag me.
And is there anything else you would like to add before there is another question?
No, I think we can go through the questions.
I didn't interrupt you. You were about to say, okay. So Hala also mentioned how to create and spread more awareness on the same, which just currently started saying about that, how to create awareness. One way is to mention all those aspects we just mentioned to your clients. So your clients should be aware of what is included and what is covered behind the actual translation that you deliver. So the research, the catch-all, the memories, the terminology basis. I can't think of many other things. The phone calls that you mentioned that you do with your clients back and forth, the emails that you send. Moira, please help me.
Yes, I think again that's where a conversation with your client is important, because you will then get to know what is important to them, what they value, and why they think they need your service, because it might not be what you think. Like what you mentioned with the girl earlier who secures the investment, that's a very different basis than I don't know, I would like to have my copy translated for a whole new market or something like that. So the value you provide there would be different too.
Okay, thank you so much. Moira, is there anything else you would like to add to today's topic? What was your next?
No, I think we can, if we can briefly talk about the summit as well. So
before we go to the summit, I will leave you the rest of the time for the summit. Just to mention the story about the agencies that we didn't describe, that I just previously talked about, how you can sometimes also price and quote the agency based on the project rather than the rate, which is okay. Rarer, it's not very common, but yes, it has happened to me. So I got a project that had to be delivered very, very fast. So it was about EU. So I really got that this project, it was assigned to the translation agency by EU. It needed my expertise and also the fact that I am a sworn and certified translator, and it had to be delivered ASAP, which means I wouldn't sleep. And the project manager knew that. So I wouldn't sleep for 4 or 5 days in order to deliver that on time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. And it was a proofreading project. And for a proofreading project, I was able to charge 21 cents.
Okay.
But that was totally accepted. They didn't tell me nothing. They didn't tell me anything about like objection or rejection of my rates or even negotiating, because they knew that I would be there for them without any sleep for so many days. And I mean, without any sleep, like I used to sleep for a couple of hours during the day, because in the night I should have undertaken the project for them, not delivered, it was abroad. So they took into consideration all these aspects. They didn't ask me anything. I didn't have to break down, for example, the service or the reasons why I charged that much. I tripled them for the rate, and they were very, very satisfied with that. They paid me upon delivery, so I didn't just have to wait 30 days, even if that was the contract. So they really appreciated what I did for them. So sometimes there are some projects that you can really negotiate your rate. You can really charge per project if you really understand the value that you provide to those clients by delivering your project.
Yes. Thank you for adding that. Actually, I do think we also need to get into the habit of charging, surcharges and things like that for 24-hour deliveries and stuff like that. It's very normal in other industries, and I think it should be for us too.
Okay, thank you so much, Moira, for our today's topic. Let's get into the Financial Success Summit, which takes place for the 3rd time this year. But this one has something different from the other times. You would like to share with us what is different this time?
Yes, so this one has one full day dedicated to building resourcefulness, and we'll talk about self-care. We're having a yoga session.
Wow, yeah.
And it's something that I'm really looking forward to, because I think this year has been I don't even know how to describe it. And it's been tough on a lot of us. And so I do think that we really needed that, this space for the topic of self-care and how we can stay mentally sane and stable in times like these.
And physically and mentally.
Physically, of course.
Yeah,
yes.
Of course. The conditions are very, very difficult those days.
Yeah, very true. And so, we'll have a live kickoff
on Monday.
Monday, 2:00 Central Eastern Time, Central European time. Sorry,
2 p.m. 2 p.m. Yes. Central European time on Monday.
Yeah,
and then.
And then, and then as usual, you can watch the sessions 24 hours for free. And then the other live session is at 4 p.m. also Central European time. And that's the live panel discussion that you mentioned earlier. And that's with Tess Whitty and Maeva Cifuentes and Martina Russo. And we'll talk about collaborating with colleagues. And I'm really looking forward to that one too. It's been suggested by a previous viewer of the summit. Yeah, and
so you can definitely suggest new topics because Moira takes into consideration your suggestions. So please do come back to Moira and let us know, if you would like something else to be covered the next time.
Yeah, actually, I already have like 4 new sessions planned for next time. Yes, because
amazing. Yeah. From the feedback, you mean, of your
no, attendees? Just from what I was thinking. But I'm always open to feedback too.
Ideas.
So just
ideas.
If you have anything, let me know.
Can't wait for the next one though. So
let's do this one first.
let's mention the days. So the first day we mentioned is about self-care. The second day is devoted to what is the topic?
So it's productivity and goals, and that's where your session on financial goal setting will air as well. So that's all about how to increase productivity, how we can make the best use of our time, and how we can set and achieve our goals. And we'll also have a live session at 2 p.m. Central European time as well, on business milestones.
You know, we just neglect about goal setting, but what I've seen with the mentoring sessions that the attendees of the Financial Summit already booked with me, the conclusion we get at the end of the mentoring session is that they do not have clear goals. So if you do not have clear goals, no one, not any mentor, not even yourself, not any professional can help you achieve it because you do not know what you want. So it's very, very important to devote some sessions with your mentor, or just to take some time on your own to have clear idea of the goals that you would like to achieve. Or if you need help, just ask for that help, because if you do not write down those goals, you cannot unstructure them in specific steps in order to be able to achieve those goals. So it's very, very common issue that I deal with my mentees. So thank you for mentioning that already. And Wednesday is the topic.
Wednesday is inbound marketing. Actually, let me just go back to what you just said.
Okay.
I really agree. And actually, if you register for the Financial Success Summit, you will also get access to a free workbook, and you can download that. And there are some questions in there that will actually help you clarify your goals. So if that's one of the issues you've been dealing with, if you're not sure what your goals are, then go ahead and download that and use that.
And it's free. It's free. It's for all the attendees. Yeah, it's so go ahead and register right now so as to get that workbook as well.
Yes.
So Wednesday is about inbound marketing. Thursday is about
outbound marketing. So how you reach out to your client.
Calling this there is my
yes, exactly. That's your session there. And then we'll have you again on Friday for the live.
You'll get bored of me seeing me there. So next week
that didn't happen last time either. So
on Tuesday, on Thursday, and on Friday. Friday will be the live Q&A, so you can join us and ask us anything, Moira or me, about whatever you would like. That about the Financial Success Summit previous sessions, or your business in general, whatever you would like to ask us anything. And on Saturday?
And then Saturday, so Friday is the day that is devoted to money management. And so we'll talk about all things pricing, negotiation, how you can set your budget better and that kind of thing. And then Saturday is building wealth. And this time we have a new session as well, which is on passive income streams. And yeah, that was a very interesting session as well. So
okay, I had so many questions about that last day. Are there actually passive income resources for translators? Because this is a very common question I get. So join the Financial Success Summit. It starts next Monday. You still have time to register for free.
Yeah.
You can always upgrade for the pro package and get the bonuses. And you can ask us anything about the summit or in the live Q&A session or about your career and your profession, your business, translation business next Friday. If you still have any questions, I see Abdel Falah. Let's suppose a 2-hour feature film. Okay, so you answer about the subtitling. We will continue the discussion in the mentoring group since it's not really about our today's topic. So we will come back to your comments in the Mentoring for Translators group later. Moira is a member. You can reach her out anytime. Ask Moira anything about pricing, our today's topic, the Financial Success Summit. Moira, thank you so much once again. I really try to keep it 1 hour. This is why I'm on a hurry. So thank you so much for being so generous, for having me in your 4th summit as a total. Sabine says, thank you for your inputs. Program sounds great, but I haven't even managed to list all the content of last summit. Yes, Sabine, myself as well here. I haven't, but definitely you can watch the new ones because are updated, more about today's situation, and definitely go for the new ones, and you can still have time to reach back to the previous. It's a free event, definitely. We can't wait to see you next week. And of course, I'm coming up with more Ask Your Mentor Anything lives coming up. So thank you, Moira. Is there anything else you would like to add?
I just want to say thank you very much for having me here, and everyone for making the time to being with us live. I always think that's great. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you all of you for being here about 1 hour, for your comments, your questions. See you in the Mentoring for Translators group. Bye-bye for now. Thank you, Moira.
Thank you. Bye.